So I wanted to have you as my first guest for many reasons, but one particular reason, and it goes back, I would say, around almost 20 years. When I was an intern and I joined TBWA, this was my first ever experience in the professional world. And طبعا, as a kid, I didn't know what was going on in the world and so on and so forth. And it's overwhelming. One day, the whole agency went out for lunch. And as an intern, of course, nobody wants to sit with the intern. So I was sitting at let's say the edge of the table. Okay, you were late at the time, but everybody was there. The moment you walked in, okay, everybody started saying, Ramzi, come sit next to me. Ramzi, sit next to me. Ramzi. Or بعدوا لك ويلا come sit in the middle. And you were like, no, it's okay. I'll just sit here. And you sat on the edge of the table next to me. So I was like, oh my God, Ramzi Raad sitting next to me. So what do I do? And you saw a pack of cigarettes next to me. And it wasn't mine at the time. But you were like, do you smoke? I said, I looked at you. I was like, do you want a cigarette? He said, yes. I was like, okay, so I guess I smoke. So I gave you a cigarette. I took a cigarette. And we started talking. And we talked and talked and talked. Everybody started leaving. The lunch was finished. And the only two people left at the restaurant was you and me. And you gave me the whole story of TBWA, how it started. And it was one of the most inspiring, I would say, hours of my life. And it showed me one thing about you, is that you didn't care that this guy was an intern, account executive, or a director, or whatever it is. I will give him the time. I will tell him a story, and we're having a good time, and we're chatting. And I think since that moment on, it impacted me so much that I started seeing this leadership with empathy that you exhibited on that day is something that I wanted to have for my career. So thank you for that moment. I'm telling you this 20 years later, and it's an honor for me to have you on this podcast. So that's my start.
That's it. You flatter me. Thank you very much for this story.
Absolutely. I don't know if you knew it. I feel like I told you this.
No, when you're citing what you remember, I'm trying to remember myself what happened then. But it's a situation that was repeated many times.
Yeah.
Because this is how we made of this agency group what it is. We started in a very humble way, and we built one of the strongest communication groups in this part of the world. And thanks to all the people like you who contributed to make TBWA Raad what it is. I'm saying it developed in the region, but the reality is that we were a small agency in a big group. And when I say a big group, TBWA was never in the big league of the advertising agencies, the names that are popular. A lot of people were asking, are you TBWA, the airline? The name was not familiar. Gradually, TBWA, part of Omnicom, which was created like an afterthought, because Omnicom had historically BBDO, the very strong BBDO, and DDB, Doyle Dane Bernbach, which is another big and famous group. TBWA was created to accommodate new accounts, small accounts that were being won around the world and for conflict reasons could not fit neither in DDB nor in BBDO. And then also it was created as the European agency because the two others were American, and TBWA, as it started, it was in Europe. So TBWA grew, and TBWA became a major player. TBWA became the worldwide agency of the year and the network of the year for a couple of years. But the great thing about this whole story is that TBWA Raad, the small agency in the Middle East, became a major player. And our conquests, our awards, the relationship with some of the clients helped in the development of TBWA worldwide. To the extent that, like 6 years ago, there was a global meeting for the whole of the TBWA worldwide network. And in this meeting, I was surprised because the founders, or the existing founders, so there was Jean-Marie Drew, there was the current CEO, Troy Rohanen, and some of the old-timers called me and 3 others, and they named us TBWA founders.
Oh, wow.
So what a great feeling in this big group, worldwide group, to be named a founder.
Wow.
And
It
we
came
were
full circle.
founders, yeah, because we made the name, the brand, very well known in the Middle East and beyond. A lot of our campaigns were used. Many of our creative product, our creative work was so popular to be used in other markets and so on.
I think I would say that it was always known that the Raad family, has been are very good people, and I feel even my mom used to say this. هذول كانوا محترمين الجماعة. هذول بيت رعد. So I remember back in the day when I got an offer from Leo Burnett to leave TBWA, and I just remember, like, I was so conflicted, like, should I leave, should I stay? And I was obviously an account executive at the time, and chasing a couple of thousand dirhams to leave. And I remember it was my mom who was like, well, first of all, you, and then Rida Raad, current CEO of the group, and my mom was like, no, هدول الجماعة كتير محترمين بيت رعد, you should stay with them because they're really taking care of you, so you should probably stay with them. So I think that definitely rings true. And I think it's your personality, and I think something you said earlier about your relationships and who you are that kind of built the network. And as a startup man for the past few years, me and my partner here, Bashar, who we both started together a company, Bashar Abu al-Bishara, we always built our company based on the idea of being a good person and being an empathetic person will bring people towards you, So I think that's definitely something I can agree on. But I want to, if there's something I'd like for you to kind of delve into a little bit, is the story of your story is largely the story of advertising, right, in the Middle East. But how it was, and I think what impacted me at the time when you told me the story, and this is a 20-year-old memory for me, is how at some point it was all over for you, between what you had with Intermarkets and TBWA. There was a time where nothing was clear for you. You thought it was all over, but then you rose up, and then you just actually gave us the ending where you were now, so, you built such a big network that you were named the founder of this network, So one of the founders. So I want to take people back to see that this is not all happy, and it's happy today, but there was a lot of struggles. So if we take back to the 90s or even before that, how did that start? And then what was that moment? And then how did you come back from it?
Basil, let me take you and whoever is going to view this podcast a little bit back in time, before TBWA, before Dubai, before all of this. I'm Lebanese. I grew up in a family of pharmacists. My father was a pharmacist. My maternal uncle was a pharmacist. My 2 grandparents, from my mother and my father's side, were pharmacists. And a lot of relatives around us were pharmacists. I'm the eldest of the family, and everybody expected that I'll follow the track of the family and I'll become a pharmacist. I didn't like it, so I surprised everybody and I said, not for pharmacy. in a conservative family environment in Lebanon, this is not normally done. It wasn't a welcome step. I don't know how people looked at it then, but I did it. And I went into advertising. I went into advertising not knowing what advertising is all about, but it's something that I liked. And it's something that I discovered while growing up, that it works. At the secondary school, we had two social clubs. One was in the French section, was what the other was in the English section. The French section was very popular, hundreds of members. The English section practically was dying. There was no membership at all. I did an advertising campaign, posters, and we hanged the posters around the school courtyard, etc. And suddenly the membership flourished and it became more popular. And at that stage, I realized that advertising works, and I said, I want to pursue a career in advertising. So I started. And this was Lebanon of the late 60s. And I went into advertising while I was still studying at the AUB, the American University of Beirut. I felt that I owe it to my father, who I didn't follow his wish to become a pharmacist, to do a little bit of the effort in educating myself. So the tuition fees at that time were high in comparison to an average family's income, etc. So I started working while I was in the sophomore year. I picked up classes which were clustered in the morning, so in the afternoon I could go and work in an advertising agency, which I joined as a part-timer. And I stopped buying textbooks. I spent my time in the university library looking at the books, the textbooks assigned to our classes, to do my homeworks, etc. through these. I graduated, and then I went into advertising in an agency called Publicité Universelle in Lebanon. And I'm naming the agency because
it's in the book.
At one time, I said I was working in a small agency in Lebanon. The owner of that agency called me and he said, "Do you call me a small agency?" So from that moment on, I started naming the agency. So I started working in that agency, and it was fun. The early days, we did a lot of things, a lot of campaigns, which, according to TBWA, now they fit under the battle cry, the theme, disruption. So do disruptive advertising, do what the others are not doing, etc. I remember we launched a brand of shaving blades, and the campaign was, don't use our blades. If you want your cheeks to be like a cactus, to be like a porcupine, to be like all the non-smooth things, but use our shaving blades if you want your cheeks to be like as smooth as a feather, and so on. So campaigns that up till now are still quoted in the Lebanese advertising annals. Then the civil war started in Lebanon. And when the civil war started in Lebanon, I felt that the whole country is going to suffer.
Sorry.
The advertising industry is going to suffer. The security situation for me and my family was compromised. So I decided that I wanted to leave. And when I talked to my boss, now I wasn't anymore at Publicité Universelle, but I was at an agency called Intermarkets. I said, I want to leave. He said, how are you going to leave? What are you going to do with your family? I told him I'm going to take my family. So to cut the long story short, I left. I came to Dubai. I came to Bahrain because the only base we had was in Bahrain. And then I realized that Bahrain is too conservative and too small, and the upcoming place is going to be Dubai. So I came to Dubai.
This was the 70s?
This was, yeah. 75, 22nd of October, 75, I left Beirut.
And this is
The year of the Civil War.
You started your journey with Intermarkets around that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I came here. I came to Dubai. And in Dubai, okay, it was my choice to come here. It was my choice not to stay in Bahrain. And why Bahrain and why Intermarkets had an office in Bahrain? Because all the clients who wanted to cover Saudi Arabia could not place their expatriate executives in Saudi Arabia. So everybody came to Bahrain. They used to go the whole week working in Saudi Arabia, fly over the weekend to spend it with their families in Bahrain. Okay, so I realized that this is not going to be a continuous formula, a successful formula. Sooner or later, it's going to change. I had clients here. I came down here, and I saw the potential of this place, how people were thinking at that stage even, and I came down here. But when I came down here, and I dragged the group Intermarkets because they didn't have a plan to come to Dubai, my decision was challenged more than one time. First challenge, media. Okay, you're establishing an advertising agency in this place here. You don't have media. Okay, the only newspaper that was available was a memographed sheet published out of Sharjah, the Daily Recorder. And we used to fight for 3 or 4 glossy sheets of paper inserted amongst the memographed standard papers.
Wow.
Where we could print our ads.
Wow.
So it was a competition all the time. Television was not there at the early stage, but then television became available. Kuwait television from Dubai. The government of Kuwait, who were renovating, were changing their studios from black and white to color in Kuwait. They donated the whole studio, the whole equipment, and a lot of their people to the Maktoum family because they were very friendly. And Kuwait television from Dubai started transmitting.
Interesting.
Same way the hospital, Kuwait hospital, is still operating up till now. Also, it was a donation from the government of Kuwait at that stage. And the advertising suddenly became more popular here as the media started developing in this place. So newspapers started publishing magazines, etc. And the television became the first commercial television in the region. So Dubai television became commercial before Bahrain, 10 years before Saudi Arabia, and so on. Okay?
Wow.
And agencies started coming down here. Most of the agencies, not most, 3 of the agencies came. They were all based in Sharjah at the early stage. I don't know why. On Al-Wahda Street.
Yeah, wow.
Okay. Matko, Burhan Baidas, the late Burhan Baidas, and Ahmed Jaouni, his brother-in-law. Publi Riz and Publi Kazan. Okay. But all these agencies did not survive. We stayed and we developed here. Now, we stayed and we developed, but the early stages were a real challenge. You're saying persistent. You're asking about how did you progress? I progressed against all odds. So I didn't know if we're going to get any funding from a head office. It means you're establishing a business and you have to generate enough funds to be able to live, to be able to hire employees, to be able to pay for a rent, and to survive. So the early days, I spent nights sleeping on the carpet because I didn't know if we're going to get any money from anywhere.
From any
any from head office,
right,
or from clients. We didn't have clients.
At that point, you were intermarket still.
It was intermarket.
So
this was intermarket.
Okay.
This was intermarket. For a long period, it was intermarket. Now, how did we do the office? We did the office in partnership with Abu Khalid, Juma al-Majid. And Juma al-Majid, I met in Lebanon because he was the owner of the Canada Dry factory in the UAE.
Okay.
So the Canada Dry people accompanied him to Beirut. He wanted to establish a newspaper here.
Okay.
An Arabic language newspaper.
And you knew him? You knew him?
I didn't know him.
Okay.
So the client I knew was Canada Dry. Canada Dry said, we're coming with an important businessman from the UAE who wants to establish a newspaper. Can you help him? Introduce him to... At that stage, An-Nahar was moving from the downtown Beirut to its new publishing press and the new building head office at the entrance of Hamra Street. So they had all the machinery, etc. We introduced them. They met together. It clicked in one meeting. They agreed on a lot of details, etc.
Wow.
Sadly, when Juma al-Majid came back, met with Sheikh Rashid, I'm coming to take your blessing. I want to start a newspaper in Arabic. Sheikh Rashid, God bless his soul, told him, Juma, you are a great businessman. Stay doing business, get away from politics. Why do you want to go into media and publishing? So the project was aborted. So when I came to Dubai, I went to see the office of Juma al-Majid. I met Abu Khalid, and he said, you can't establish a company here unless you have a local partner. I said, yes. I asked, and this is what I was told. So we can come easily to a sponsorship agreement. He said, I don't go into sponsorship. I'm in partnership. I want to become your partner. And when we established Intermarkets in Dubai, it was a company owned in partnership with Juma al-Majid. And it stayed till the day I went to Juma al-Majid and I told him I'm leaving. And he said, I'll terminate this agreement.
Wow.
So
the power of relationships, huh? That's great.
So this is how it started here. Dubai was fun. Dubai was fun because I said there was no media, there was no many other things that are in Dubai today. I hired a designer who was working at the Dubai Intercontinental on the creek. Now Dubai Intercontinental has moved to Festival City, but then it was on the creek where. So they had the in-house designer, an Indian in-house designer, who was doing all the posters of the hotel, etc. So my office was on the creek, so I used to step in, have a bite in the coffee shop, etc. I met the man. I asked him to help me in designing a few things. He started doing that. Then we came to an agreement. He used to come to the agency after he finishes his duties at the Intercontinental. I brief him on the jobs that we have, lock him up, and he used to work through the night, come in the morning, open, the jobs were...
You actually locked them up, like literally locked them up? And they had no problems with this?
No, they had keys also. But then you look,
Okay, I got you. Metaphorically locked them up. Okay, I got it.
One of our first clients was Cable and Wireless, which became Etisalat later on. Cable and Wireless, the British company,
Yeah.
Telecom. Okay, so Cable and Wireless introduced the telefax machine.
Mm.
And
Wow.
in Bahrain, we had an advanced agency to a certain extent. So we installed the first telefaxes, one at the Intermarkets Bahrain and one at Intermarket Dubai. And we used to sit next to the machine when Howard Paul, the name of the designer was Howard Paul. God bless his soul, I don't know where he is now. Okay? Howard Paul was not able to do the job or could not complete it, or it was a major job. The Bahrain team used to design it and telefax it. And we used to sit next to the machine and it starts. The drums were very, till you get the design, and then you keep it till Howard Paul comes in the evening and does the tracing.
That's
and
crazy.
next day. So this is
how it
was.
was.
This is how it was.
That is great. I mean, that's how far has it come? I mean, that's crazy. So that's okay. So you established Intermarkets. Now you have Jam Al Majid as your partner. Things are looking good. You know, things are picking up. At that point, you started hiring people. Did you get funding?
Yeah. No. We became self-sufficient.
Very good. Okay.
Funding never came because Beirut war, the civil war in Lebanon continued, and the office in Beirut was not generating any more money.
So no funding.
But what we did, which was a major step in the survival of Intermarkets, I and the boss of the Bahrain agency, Eddie Moutran, we sent messages to all the clients of Intermarkets, and the clients of Intermarkets then were people like Rothmans, Unilever, Beecham. We sent to all of these people. Intermarkets has moved its head office from Beirut to the Gulf. These are the addresses. If you have sent any money to the Beirut bank, please cancel the transfers, reverse them, and send them over to us. That's why, how. And then that step brought everybody, not everybody, the key players in the Beirut agency, they came to the Gulf. They were hesitant people who were either vice presidents, owners, or partners, or whatever. Samir Faris was the first to come, the late Samir Faris, Erwin Gerovich, they all came to Bahrain and Dubai and Kuwait, and Intermarket spread.
So wow, so no funding, it was self-sufficient. From the carpet to now a team of how many people?
I don't know, I don't remember.
So would you say it was over 10, 20 people?
No, we grew. Because I would say we grew. We grew in Bahrain. The agency became a serious agency. In Dubai, the agency started developing. Then we sent people to Kuwait, although we had an office in Kuwait. But we beefed up the office in Kuwait. We ventured into Egypt. And the first step, we went into cooperation with TBWA. So we're working together in the same office. Then we did Saudi Arabia, and even we went to Yemen.
Wow!
With Hayy Saeed and
So wow! So is this the 80s now, or
at this stage?
At this stage, it was the 80s. Yeah. So great, things are looking great for Ramzi Raad. You know, so at that point, you've made, I would say, considerable amount of money.
At that stage, I didn't make enough money.
Okay.
Personally, it took time, a lot of time. I was living happily, and I was content with what I was doing. I was happy for the growth of Intermarkets, and I was happy for the relationship that we built with the clients.
Right.
At that stage, the American agencies came looking for partners in this part of the world. And TBWA found a partner in Impact. McCann Erickson found a partner with Promo 7. All the big agencies, the multinational main agencies found partners. At Intermarkets, the senior management then were hesitant, were typical Lebanese market traders. I can fetch a better price if I delay. I can fetch a better price if I do this. I can fetch a better price. So they lost all the opportunities. There were no more multinational agencies interested in the Middle East available. And then we woke up to this reality.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, Young and Rubicon has gone. Promus, McCann Erickson has gone. J. Walter Thompson has gone. Ogilvy has gone. Leo Burnett has gone. So with whom are you going to tie up? We had a small nucleus office in London, and we tasked the man responsible for that agency, go look for international partners who are still interested in the Middle East. So he identified two funny names that we were not familiar with. One of them was called BDDP.
Okay.
BDDP.
Okay.
The other one was called TBWA. And we started asking for more information about these two agencies. And then we realized that from BDDP, which is the agency of Jean-Marie Drieux originally, we had Taguer, we had Avis. So we're working on these accounts.
Oh, you had their accounts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And from TBWA, we had Nissan. So pursue these contacts. He pursued the contacts, and the two said, we're interested. Let's appoint this agency in the Middle East called Intermarkets as our associate. We're not doing anything more or less. So we tied up with the two. And the headache that emerged at that stage is that you're playing with two European agencies or two global agencies. Okay, one day, one is going to come and say, no, you're exclusively my representative, or forget about it. So which one are we going to choose? And instead of being happy with what you've achieved, you were all the time concerned that one day the door is going to knock, and this is what's going to happen. TBWA, or not TBWA, Omnicom solved the problem for us because they bought both agencies, BDDP and TBWA, and they merged them together.
Okay.
So
under the name of TBWA.
Under the name of TBWA.
Okay.
So that was one problem out of the way.
Solved.
And then we started a serious dialogue with TBWA. The serious dialogue did not materialize for many reasons, which I would prefer not to mention at this stage or in this environment or to publicly say. So the negotiations came to a standstill. One day, after a year of silence, I was asked, because I was maintaining the relationship with TBWA, set for us an appointment with TBWA. We want to go and see if they're still interested. I called. They said, Ahla wa sahla. We are interested with one condition. You come with whoever is going to be the decision maker, and we'll discuss. A decision has to be made on the spot. You stay as long as you need to get to a conclusion. Don't come and say we have to go back, discuss with partners, etc. Make sure that the partners are lined up, are briefed, are standing by to respond to the outcome of the meeting. So we went, we had the meeting, and in the meeting they were very clear. They said, in any business transaction, there's a buyer and the seller. We are the buyers and you are the sellers. Already we went into a round of so many months, audited, due diligence, etc., and we came to a conclusion. And we put the price on the table, which you rejected. Okay, now tell us what is the price that you would like to sell. We will go to our parent company, Omnicom, 24 hours. We get their approval. And we come back and we say yay or nay. I felt that I've achieved what I was asked to do. So I got a bottle of champagne and I walked into the room of the big boss. Let's celebrate. From where did we get the champagne? I told him from room service. So he called room service and he told them, take the champagne back. Sit, Ramzi, I sat. He said, I've been teaching you all the time lessons of how to do business. You won't do business like this. You will not succeed. I told him why. He said you should have another competitor vying for the same thing. And then you'll play one against the other and you'll get the best price.
So
and then there will be paper, there will be papers, you sign papers and then you bring the champagne and we celebrate. So we flew back from New York to Beirut. All through the flight, he was trying to talk to me, I wasn't talking.
You were upset at that point.
Of course.
Because
I made the whole arrangements, etc.
Yeah.
And I came back. Sorry, what I missed that night after the champagne case, the telephone rings in my room. TBWA called me. Ramzi, we received you, we welcomed you, and we made the best out of our meeting. Regretfully, this negotiation is going to come to an end. So why? What went wrong? Did we misbehave in the meeting? Did my companion? No. Your companion, your partner, your boss misbehaved before coming. I told him, what do you mean? He said he has been talking to other agencies. And they called us from Young and Rubicon. And they said, we know that TBWA are visiting you. If you are negotiating seriously with TBWA, we'll pull out. Because we're interested. We don't want to compete one against the other in this deal.
Okay.
So on the flight back, first question, are you seriously talking to other people to sell? He said, yes, this is what I told you. This is the lesson. And then I went into the silence. We came back and there was the agreement. They sold Intermarkets to
Rubicon.
To its death. To Team Young and to Team.
Yeah.
Team that became Team Young and the Rubicon.
Did they get the better price? Or was it just what's available on the table?
They didn't get anything. Because Erwin Gerwich, Allah yarhamu, died and didn't collect a penny. Except what was in the kitty that they gave him back. Samir Faris had passed away before. Rimo Hanna, who died last month, up till last month, and this was 22 years ago, he continued calling me, do you have any documents? Because I'm suing them in court. They didn't pay us.
Wow.
They got it. They killed it. They buried it. Intermarkets has vanished. They tell you Intermarkets, there is no more Intermarket.
Wow.
And this is...
So was that the end of your time with Intermarkets, or did you decide to leave?
I'll tell you what happened. They sold. I was there with two other executives who were promised shares but had nothing in our hands to prove that we were shareholders. I with 10 shares, 10%, 10 shares, whatever. Khalil Bitar, who was the CFO, with 7 shares. And Nadim Sfair, the MD of Saudi Arabia, the agency in Saudi Arabia, with 5%, 5 shares. the three of us were considering ourselves, or this is what we were told, you are shareholders. You have been doing a great job and you are shareholders. No dividend, nothing of that, and no paper to prove that we're shareholders. So on the eve of this announcement, I went to the big boss, to Erwin Gerwich, and I said, now you're selling. You're going to cash the money and we're going to be out. We will not be part of this promise, life promise, that we're partners if we don't have any documents to show them to the new owners that we're shareholders and to get our cut. I wanted 10% of whatever is going to happen. And Nadim needs 5 and Khalil needs 7. So they got together, the old board of Intermarkets, and they issued shares to the three of us.
Okay.
So we went into the meeting, the first meeting. I remember that meeting because it was Talal Metz, it was Joseph Soub, it was their lawyer, and Talal got this big checkbook from his pocket. He put it on the table. Okay, Erwin, we'll do your deal after. Hanna will do the deal after, etc., etc. The three of us now. Ramzi, how many shares? Erwin told me that you have the certificate for the 10 shares. We'll do the calculation. Get me a calculator. It was so archaic. You are owed so much. I'll write you the check, but look, I'm going to write the check on a bank in Paris. I told him, before you write the check, I want to tell you something. He said, what? I told him, I'm not going to take a check. I'm not going to sell my part. If Erwin, Rimo Hanna, and everybody else is selling, I'm out of this deal because I don't see with all of you eye to eye. And I don't think that Intermarkets will continue to flourish under the new leadership. In a big meeting like that, what do you say? Mr. Bakhsouk, pay him more. How much you need? What do you need? How much? I said to him, no, it's not money. It's not the case of money. It's the case of I'm out. I'm out. And it took time in this sort of dialogue, and then they realized that I'm out. So they said, okay, fine, you're going to get out, you get out, with a very clear condition that you have to accept. For the coming 18 months, you will not be allowed to return to Dubai.
Oh, wow.
I was based here.
Yeah.
For the coming 18 months, you will not poach any of our employees nor clients. And if you break any of these 3 reservations, you will lose your money. Now you get only the part that is owed to you in the deal. Retained earnings, you will not get anything except after 18 months that you prove, etc. Then you will get the money. I told them I have to consult with my lawyer. So I got out, called the lawyer. The lawyer told me, Ramzi, you don't have other resources. They sold, they're happy with what they've done, and they can drag you forever and ever. My advice is you go and accept.
Wow. So accept the ban for 18 months. Accept.
So
at that point, you had kids. You had.
I went and accepted.
Yeah, you had. Obviously, your children were grown up at that time, and this is the 90s.
Yeah, but and what? So grown up, and you still have people in Shwefat school. Riyan was. Okay, so I accepted, and then I went back home, and the rest is history, the modern history.
You went back home, but then you reached out to TBWA at that point, right?
I didn't reach for TBWA.
Mm.
It's TBWA who reached for me.
Okay.
And when did they reach for me? Because for them, the deal had finished. I was part of the deal. I'm Intermarkets.
Mm.
So for them, I was the enemy.
Mm. But then you're no longer.
But then it took time for them to realize what has happened. That Intermarkets was sold, but I wasn't part of the deal. And I was out, and I was doing something completely different. And then they called and they said, we're still interested in the Middle East. Are you still interested to be our partner and to help us build up? And this is what happened.
So it was just you at that time.
Yeah.
Yani just TBWA with one individual, Ramzi Raad. That's it. So, and then you broke that. So you came back to Dubai after 18 months, or did you come back?
I came back to Dubai a week after.
A week after?
Yeah.
How did you break the ban?
Because I got the call.
Okay.
And the call was, this is what changed the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
The call was, Ramzi, you have been in Dubai since 75. You've done a lot of things for Dubai. You've done a lot of things for Dubai. You brought all the agencies to Dubai. We realized that. You were the first and the others followed. You made the International Advertising Association worldwide meeting in Dubai. You did this, you did that, you did this, that. We never patted on your back. But we have been watching all of this and we appreciate it. And now we know that you're out and you're banned from coming to Dubai. We want you to come back because we need you. I told him I can't come back. How can I come back? I come back and I lose the money. I lose everything. Already I've lost 30 years of sweat and tears. He said, no, come back. I told him, how can I come back? He said, you're coming back as the guest of the government of Dubai. Nobody needs to know how you came back. Nobody needs to know that you're here. Come, let's discuss, and then we'll... So I was hesitant. I was afraid. I was scared. I was everything. But it was so persuasive what he was saying. I got on the flight and I came. And the story here was a very simple story. They said a few months ago, a lady, blonde, well-dressed, came carrying a card, the Washington Gazette, and she started touring on the government and the offices of the government of Dubai, selling advertising space, because she was going, or the Washington Gazette was going to publish a special issue about on Dubai. Mm. So she came to the ruler's office, and we issued a directive to all the government departments. Help this publication. It's going to showcase Dubai in Washington. It's so important, and so on. So everybody, Dubai ports, Dubai free zone, everybody bought full pages. They paid the money up front, and the lady went back to Washington. Then the invoices came, and everybody looked at the voucher that came. It was not a newspaper, a real newspaper. It was a nomograph sheet, Washington Chronicle. So it was the biggest scam that has ever happened to us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is not the first time. It's recently repetitive. Everybody feels that there is money in the Gulf, and they come and they make fun of us. We want to put an end of this. We want to put Dubai on the map. We want to promote Dubai. We want to make Dubai famous. You know Dubai better than anybody else. Come and help us do that. Okay, fine. He said, but there are certain conditions that you need to know. I'm sure you know them. I told him, no, what are the conditions? He said, whatever you do, don't expect Sheikh Mohammed to come and say, Ramzi, congratulations, thank you for the wonderful job. We will congratulate the team that you are building up for us, who are local, UAE, national, young girls, boys, upcoming generation. One. Number two, don't go into your circle, the Lebanese circle. You're all gossipers.
Okay.
Don't go and say, I've been appointed consultant for the government of Dubai on information,
Mm.
A word and everything will stop. Number 3, you're an advertising man. You're not going to become an employee for the government forever and ever. You want to start your advertising agency. When you do your job and you decide you want to do an advertising agency, we'll help you to set up an advertising agency. But don't think that the advertising business of the government of Dubai is going to come to you automatically because you helped at one stage.
Mm.
Build a good agency, pitch for the business, prove to us that you're better, and we'll give you the business. But if you're not, we'll give the business to anybody else.
Mm.
So no privileges start.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like it? He said, we furnished. This office is furnished. Go look at your room. If you don't like it, go down to Osama al-Sha'ar at the Intercontinental. I don't know if you remember Osama al-Sha'ar.
I remember
He was selling furniture in the ground floor of the Intercontinental and change whatever you want to change. And if you want to start from tomorrow. And this is what happened. And then...
So you started your agency at that point?
No.
Ah.
At that time, I got this job.
Mm.
So I was working on this job. And then I called, or TBWA called me.
Mm.
And they said, we hear that you're back in Dubai. I told them, what do you mean I'm back in Dubai? I'm all the time. They said, no, because we were told of the verdict of the board of directors of the new owners of TBWA. Everything was communicated to us. So you broke the ultimatum and return. I told them, this is my story. They said, we're interested to come back to the Middle East. Will you be interested to become our partners? Our partner? I said, of course. So the government of Dubai helped me to find an office. There were no office space at that stage. The government of Dubai helped me to get the trading license for TBWA Raad in 2 or 3 days. And then we started, and the first step that happened, I went to all the clients, including Jumal Majid and everybody. I said, I'm out of Intermarkets. So Jumal Majid terminated his partnership with them. The clients, Nissan said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm opening an advertising agency. So they fired Intermarkets.
Wow.
They fired Intermarkets. And this was the big shock that the buyers had suffered because they thought that was coming in their planning. Nissan was there. And then we started, and here we are.
And then that's amazing that your first client was Nissan. And it, that's, what a way to start a business, you know?
And Nissan gave us the first assignment. We didn't have an office yet. We were furnishing the office. Nissan gave us the business before we had the trading license. The first campaign we developed was done in the garden of my villa in Jumeirah.
Yes.
We sat all together. We designed the campaign.
I remember that picture. When I was at TBWA, you guys used to show us that picture. It was you and just maybe 4 or 5 other people sitting in your backyard planning your first campaign. It's incredible because there's several steps here, from sleeping on the carpet to setting up Intermarkets, to leaving a civil war, to getting booted out of the company. You thought you started with them, but they said, nope, you're not. And then to coming back, it seems like there's 2 things. Obviously, your perseverance and a series of fortunate events happening,
Yeah, definitely. But I'll tell you another factor, which may be in my spontaneous response now, etc., I got carried away, and I didn't mention. Part of the whole story is what we refer to as perseverance. It's perseverance 0, 2, 2, 1, whatever. The next step of perseverance. One of the interesting stories. During the period of intermarkets and Dubai, I told you about Canada Dry, Jum'a al-Majid, etc. Canada Dry wanted to launch a new drink, a new flavor. And it was sport cola. Because they realized that their fruit punch, their cream soda, etc., which were very popular, particularly in places like Yemen, where everybody who was chewing cat used to have a bottle of cream soda
Wow.
to go along, etc. And they were selling tons of that drink. And it tripled into this place here, although no cat. They felt that the cola war was intensifying. So Pepsi and Coke, and then the ban on Coca-Cola. Pepsi becoming the only cola drink on the market. They felt that there is a need to launch a cola drink. So they launched a brand called Sport Cola. So Canada Dry Sport Cola. To launch Sport Cola, who were our client, we did the campaign, but beyond the campaign, it was a tough challenge on Canada Dry. So what I did with my small agency then, we went on the delivery trucks, the soft drink delivery trucks, each one of us on one of the trucks, and we went on the first tour into the market. We were giving the shopkeepers bottles to taste themselves, cold bottles, and to take their first order for Sport Cola against the huge, massive attack of Pepsi to fill the gap after the absence of Coca-Cola. And my objective of going on the trucks and asking the people to go on the trucks was to get the real feel. Clients sometimes, they don't give you the real, authentic brief. They give you a more optimistic brief because this is the trend. Nobody wants to say, I have this product, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, maybe the taste will click, maybe the taste will not click, etc. So we wanted the people to sip, we wanted to listen to the people, what they're getting offers from Pepsi Cola and the rest of that and so on. And we made note of all the observations. And in the second wave of the advertising, we took on board all the observations, which were not really all pure advertising observations. They were marketing. They were certain considerations about when Pepsi Cola delivery trucks come in comparison to their busy day, in comparison. So we asked the local factory, please don't send your trucks anymore on Monday morning or on Sunday morning or on Saturday morning, because the trader will be very busy then. Everybody is coming to deliver. Come later in the day and it will make all the difference. Small nuances like this. And Sport Cola took off and succeeded. The general manager of the factory, the bottling plant here, an Egyptian, Mohammed Miliji, like the name of the actor, was seconded to the bottler in Oman. And we had no agency in Oman, and we had no office in Oman. One day, I get a phone call from Mohammed Miliji. Ramzi, I left Dubai, I didn't come in to say thank you and Yatik al-Afi and whatever. But now I'm in Oman, and we're launching, and I want you to fly to Oman tomorrow if you can, because we want to launch the whole Canada, the dry range. The local butler does not have an advertising agency, and I want you to handle our business. So I flew down.
Wow.
And then the fascinating introduction is Muhammad Miliji introducing me to the owner. That, okay, you hear about advertising agencies, but tell me, when was the last time you hear about an advertising agency whose boss gets on the delivery truck and tours around the whole day taking notes of what the shopkeepers are saying and what they're telling and so on.
You're made
we got the business, and I'll tell you, it's not got the business. The man had so many other brands. So we went into our partnership with Oman, our sponsor in Oman, and we established an agency.
Wow, that's crazy. I know that we are almost done here.
We are.
Yeah, we went over. I just wanted to ask you one more thing. I don't know if we have no tape left, right? We're done on camera. In a few minutes. I don't know if you could do this in a few minutes, but I have a question. In 2009, there was the global recession that happened, and obviously this was a tough time for TBWA and all the companies in the region. I remember distinctly that TBWA didn't lay off anyone at that time, whereas other agencies were laying off people, and the companies as well. Everybody was laying off people. But for TBWA, I remember that there was no decision to lay off people. Talk to me about, like, in a few minutes that we have, was that a tough time for the agency itself? And was the decision not to lay off people, was it more numeric? Yeah, it was financial.
Bashar, I'll save you
please.
the continuation of your sentence, because I know exactly what you're going to ask, and I'll tell you exactly what has happened. It's not at Intermark, at TBWA only, that we did that. We did that. I did it with all my colleagues in the industry. We've always had an active IAA chapter here, and we tried to get all the leaders together, and we said, the best thing, don't fire people. Send people on their leaves, unpaid leaves. But don't fire them, because to hire again, it's going to take you ages. One, there's the human part. Think about all these people who were helping you all through your success story the past years, etc., etc. Now, we're all taxed with a big problem around us. And if we can help in not getting down this road, it will be much better for everybody, particularly when the whole thing subsides and we want to take off again. In a meeting like that, you get all the people with loud voice who will start giving you the theories, etc. You've done well, you have money in the bank, you don't care, and so on and so forth. And sadly, not a lot of people did that. We did that. And we proved to everybody, we didn't send people even on unpaid leave.
I remember, yeah.
We kept everybody. And we said, I remember exactly what we did at that stage. I called all the account teams. I said, Nissan will continue selling Nissan, and they're going to launch new models. So consider that the situation is going on. You're still employed, your salary you're still going to get. But if there are no pressing assignments, let's create our own assignments. Go and think about new stints, new creative ideas, new big ideas that you can offer your Nissan, your X and your Y and your Z of clients. And we built a big bank of ideas, which when things started coming normal,
you saw
so fast in taking off.
Yeah.
And you know, success is not money. Success is moments like this. this gives you the satisfaction, which is much more worthy than any money that you can make.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look,
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting here a decade later talking about that decision, you know, that people, I'm sure everybody at TBWA at the time till today remembers. You know, we're the ones that didn't suffer, you know, and we were lucky, I think, to be part of this group.
And a lot of things that we did were copied. If I didn't succeed with the other agencies here, I succeeded with the TBWA agencies around the world, because this was a universal problem and many people copied us. At one stage, we were learning all the time from others. And then suddenly, the whole thing turned around. I remember when South Africa, which was the head of our region, and all the time I used to complain why all the other agencies report to New York and we report to South Africa. The South African agency, which is a great agency, they came and they spent a couple of weeks here looking at our office when we moved to the Burj Khalifa, Ammar Square.
Yeah.
Okay. And they copied everything. If you go to South Africa, their office is a copy of our office.
Yeah.
We taught a lot of people.
You were, when you started TBWA, I'm sorry, I know I've done, but you were 55, right? When you started TBWA, I think that was was it at that point?
I didn't calculate.
I think I remember this clearly.
I didn't do the calculation.
I think I remember this clearly because I was so surprised. Because I always say like entrepreneurship is a young man's, or young woman's thing. But you know, even with all that's happened to you, you were 50, 55. You're like, nope, I'm going to start again from scratch. Let's go. You know.
This was the start. Yes.
Yeah. And
a lot of people. Yes.
And
a lot of people were said, "What's happening to Ramzi Raad? He's going out of his mind, coming again to start a new agency now."
Yeah.
Eh?
And you did it. You did it, and you built the best one, and it's still going. And that's the testament to your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I know we've been working a lot on this. I could go on for several hours, clearly, with you. I really enjoyed this conversation. I know, obviously, there's your book, The Middle East Advertising, The Story of the Middle East Advertising. I'm going to read it.
Please do.
We would love to do an audio version for you. What do you think? Yeah? Honestly, if you want us to do an audio version, we would love to do an audio version for you on this one. Me and my buddy here, Bashar. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.